everybody. So I wanted to give you a quick overview of what's going on this week. As you can see, in O11, you don't actually need to submit anything. Instead, you're just going to focus on looking over the articles and the concepts that I've listed in the announcement below. The only thing you have due this week is over in the 101 course, your Unit 1 outline for the personal essay by Sunday, the 4th at midnight. So what I want you to do in this course this week, since you don't have anything due on Wednesday, is to think about the thesis statement in particular, because your Unit 1 outline is going to be starting with the thesis statement. So we know that that what you're doing the outline for is the Unit 1 essay, which is going to be a personal essay that asks you to think about your relationship with critical thinking and how you use it in your life, or a specific experience when you have used it in your life, and how you can talk about some of the qualities of a critical thinker that are mentioned in the Defining Critical Thinking article. So that's your overall goal. You're going to be writing a paper at the end of Unit 1 that examines how you personally interact with those ideas that are mentioned in Defining Critical Thinking, like skepticism, like keeping an open mind, like asking questions, like looking into things. For instance, the example in the article of looking into a history text and asking yourself, who actually wrote this? Do I agree with them? Did they do a good job with research? You're looking to talk about how you use some of these skills in your everyday life. And it's going to be a very personal essay, which is why it's called a personal essay. It's going to be very reflective. You're going to use the first person. One of the things that you want to do is start with a thesis statement. Start with a really clear thesis statement explaining what exactly you're going to talk about. So I've included a little section here on thesis statements. I would like you to look through this entire thesis statement module to get an idea of what thesis statements are. And then down here, I've talked a little bit more specifically about how for the Unit 1 personal essay, you're going to write a reflective thesis statement that explains basically your take on critical thinking in the specifics of the prompt. So you can see that I've included some sample questions down here, and also just an explanation of thesis statements, a general formula to write a thesis statement. A thesis statement should contain the topic you're discussing plus your take on it, what you want to say about it. In this case, for the essay we'll be writing, your topic is just critical thinking. So you are going to make sure that you include the idea of critical thinking in your essay, and then you're going to explain a little bit about how it might impact your life. And so you can see these sample ones down here. By staying skeptical and asking questions, I used critical thinking to stop a fraudulent return at the store where I work. Or when I gave my information to an identity, that should say thief, an identity thief who said he was from the IRS, I was not demonstrating my critical thinking. So these are both examples of how you might create the type of thesis statement that you're going to want in your essay. And you can also see here, I just have some examples of how you might take the topic you're discussing and offer some kind of take on it. It can be an opinion. It can be information. It can be instructions. Thesis statements have lots of different functions. We're used to thinking of thesis statements as opinions, but they don't always have to be opinionated or argumentative. They're all different kinds of writing. So for an argument essay, of course, you want to include an opinion on the topic. But if you're writing an informational essay, you don't necessarily need to include that. If you're writing out instructions, you don't need to write a thesis statement for an article that's full of instructions. When you're writing your reflective essay, you don't need to include some kind of opinion about whether critical thinking is good or bad or whatever. What you're talking about in this essay is more about critical thinking and the experience of critical thinking and how it relates to you. So how those skills that are listed in the Defining Critical Thinking article impact your life, your beliefs, an actual situation that happened to you. So that's what a reflective thesis is going to look like. It's going to include things like the first person and perhaps a scenario where you actually used critical thinking or didn't. Um, that is the kind of essay, the type of thesis statement that you want to write, a reflective one that offers some kind of interaction, some kind of personal interaction that you've had with the ideas of critical thinking as they're presented in the defining critical thinking article. And to get a better idea of just what critical thinking is and what some of the characteristics of a critical thinker are, I would like you to look over this article as well to give you kind of a background idea. And that's all I want you to do. Read this whole entire announcement carefully and make sure you look through these two clickable modules and articles. And then focus on getting your outline ready for Sunday at midnight.